Every time Donald Trump gets a chance, he trashes our union and he trashes the working class. He comes to Michigan. He talks about he's going to bring back the auto industry. Let me tell you something. Donald Trump doesn't know shit about the auto industry. We know who we're dealing with. Donald Trump is a scam.
Had a little bit of fun. I don't think the vice president waved at me as she drove away, but I'm glad to have done it. And I'm glad to be here in Wisconsin actually trying to persuade people to vote for us as opposed to just giving another scripted speech.
You did see the vice president.
I saw her car. I did not see the vice president. The windows are tinted.
Shouldn't the Secret Service at least be concerned about this? After all, this is a man who has spoken about abusive behavior, suggesting that women should remain in abusive relationships. And just this week, he admitted that he told his young son to shut the hell up. He's not even on her level. She is the sitting vice president of the United States. He's running for her job. She's running to be president. Perhaps he should be saying this to and chasing Tim Walz. Now, I want you to think about the optics here. Imagine if it was different, if it was a black man chasing around and stalking a white woman. Can you imagine what the Fox News and Newsmaxes of the world would do? Oh, the outrage. This is weird and it's creepy. You want to know what's weird? Why is JDEI Vance stalking Kamala Harris?
Had a little bit of fun. I don't think the vice president waved at me as she drove away, but I'm glad to have done it. And I'm glad to be here in Wisconsin actually trying to persuade people to vote for us as opposed to just giving another scripted speech.
Welcome to the National Newspaper Publishers Association's Let It Be Known. 100%. I was thinking some along the lines of Don Lemon there. The other thing that immediately hit me is privilege. Who does that? A, who's allowed to do that? B, regardless of who you are. I mean, to walk up to the vice president of the United States is plain and bring reporters with you, really pretty much, is unheard of. Unheard of. I mean, it looked like a scene from some sort of movie or something. I mean, everything about this guy, like Don Lemon said, creepy, but worse. But worse. This can't happen, but it did. But it did. It is unconscionable that he was able to do that. Listen, Donald Trump shouldn't be able to do that. And nor should it be the other way around. Nor should Tim Walz be able to walk up to Donald Trump's plane. But we are talking about, let's face it, we're talking about a black woman. And they are able to walk up to her plane like she's regular, as Cardi B says, regular schmegular. So come on. That is just insane. Insane. Well, this morning, we're going to talk about a few things. Prosecutors have charged 4 Milwaukee hotel employees with being a party to felony murder in connection with Devontae Mitchell's death. You know, Ben Crump has been on that case, as he's on all of these cases, right? A federal judge also dismissed most of the claims in a lawsuit filed by a black high school student who alleged that school officials committed racial and gender discrimination when they punished him for refusing to change his hairstyle. Another setback for the Crown Act. In Georgia, again, folks, this is what is going on. So they have given local officials significantly new powers over the certification of elections and election results. a move that plays heavily and right into the hands of the ex-president, and of course Republicans. This is the state, of course, where Trump is facing prosecution for, among other things, trying to pressure the Secretary of State to find votes and steal the 2020 election. It also means something just as nefarious and perhaps more dangerous, that they can legally steal the election in Georgia. That doesn't make sense, right? Legally steal. But they're pulling out all the stops. If you noticed, Trump is not even campaigning. He sent Vance on the road. Trump's been playing golf and sitting on Fox News and some podcast. And now he promises that he and Elon Musk are going to have this huge interview on X, Twitter. Uh, Kamala Harris and now with teaming up with Governor Walz, Tim Walz, they have totally. She had already taken the steam out of his campaign. Her selecting him apparently has killed the Trump campaign. They have no idea what to do with themselves, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that. Some interesting little sidebars there. Serena Williams, you may have heard, was refused a table at a Paris hotel restaurant. Now, it begs the question. And I'd like to pose this to you guys, and I'd like to get some responses, please, this morning. Should celebrities be accorded special favor? I'm going to talk about that because the restaurant had a response, and the response for many, not all, but many, changed the tone in which folks were attacking the restaurant for not allowing Serena Williams a table there. We're going to talk about that this morning. Again, want your feedbacks. Should celebrities be accorded special favor? Campaign songs are important. At least the candidates think they're important. Certainly, the former president thinks they're important. But speaking of the former president, he has had to find new ones after so many, many artists have said, "Don't use mine." We look at who told Trump to just go fly a kite. They include people like Beyonce, Rihanna, the Rolling Stones, and Linkin Park. We'll talk about that this morning too. But first, a few other things. Um, do y'all ever see like Shula King? Shula King is a really good comedian. My brother Vic turned me on to him a few years ago. Clean comic, makes fun of things. He has like he's on online and he puts up like other people's posts and he's like, now somebody want to tell me what is going on here. Um, Nelly. Nelly was arrested. Now I'm going to tell you the story first before I get to the comedic part of it all, which you probably will already have anyway. You yourselves will probably already come up with the comedic side of Nelly's arrest. And no arrests is something to laugh at, I guess. But a few things. So he was arrested yesterday. And there's some serious stuff in here, by the way. Let me not, we'll get into that too. After Missouri Highway Patrol officers said he found 4 illegal ecstasy pills on him and was driving without car insurance. Well, Nelly's lawyer said it was an overzealous cop that targeted Nelly and conducted an improper search. Now, here's the story. By the way, when hip hop guys get arrested and stuff, and if you don't know, if you don't take the time to look it up, you're not interested in this information. But when they get arrested, like their real names pop up. So I didn't know. I never knew that, but it makes sense. Nelly's real name is Nelly Cornell Haynes II. But court records show he was cited in 2018 for driving without insurance, and he never answered the warrant. And in December of 2023, a judge issued a bench warrant for Nelly. Well, his lawyer explained that Nelly he was at the casino 4:45 in the morning. He had just won several jackpots. And the officer had to supervise Nelly cashing out his winnings. But that officer, as Nelly is cashing out his winnings, apparently got a little jealous. This little black dude cleaned us out tonight. Ran some warrants. He said the officer then handcuffed Nelly behind his back and paraded him through the casino in front of other customers. His lawyer said any other citizen would have been told to address the insurance warrant and police would have let them go on their way. So we all know about the racial profiling and things of that nature, and Nelly being and it's his area too. In the Missouri where he grew up, this casino is like in the neighborhood where he grew up, so people knew Nelly. And I would suggest that the cop knew Nelly and saw him with this idea, thinking that okay, he's this hip hop star. He's probably got a lot of money, which is not always the case. But then he comes and cleans the casino out. Now you mad, you big mad. Now, granted, Nelly should have taken care of his insurance issue some time ago, but his attorney said he was not aware of it. He was not aware that there was a warrant anyway. But he still should have taken care of his insurance. That's true. Maybe he did. Maybe he did in this sense. After his 2018 situation, he went and got insurance. I also thought, and I know this to be true in some states, including like Florida, that if you can show that you can cover, I think it's like $50,000 in damages, then you don't have to carry insurance. So, and look, based on his winnings alone, I'm sure it was not reported, not said, not in the press release what his winnings were, but to be to have a state police officer cash you out or stand by while you cash out suggests that Nelly won big at the casino. But here is the other question. Here's the comedic question. What's up with the ecstasy pills, dude? What's I mean, it was probably an illegal search, but isn't Ashanti is she pregnant or she just had a baby or something? Or did they have the baby or something? I mean, if they haven't had the baby, she's about to pop. So why are you popping pills, dude? Hmm. Uh-oh. Something ain't right. Something ain't she's still pregnant, Chris says. Something ain't right over there in Reunionville. Why are you carrying ecstasy when your wife is about to pop with a baby? He out in the casino at 4:45 a.m. Come on now. It's gonna take a little bit more than some country grammar to explain that, right? It's getting a little hot in here. Come on, Nelly. You better than that, Nelly. Aren't you? Well, uh Michelle Matheson says, Nelly takes ecstasy for Ashanti. What does that mean, Michelle? What does that mean? Why poor Ashanti if he's taking ecstasy? I want to know. You got to explain that one, Michelle. You got to explain that. I want to know. It's important that I know. That's how my mind works. That's how I'm wired. I need to know stuff. Certain stuff that makes no sense and doesn't really matter to these are the things that I need to know. So Michelle, come on, speed up on the keyboard and let me know. But okay, so you've got to see the irony in this. Donald Trump criticized Vice President Kamala Harris's decision to choose Minnesota Governor Tim Walz as her running mate because okay, are you sitting down for this? You got to sit down for this one. You have to sit down for this one. Donald Trump criticized Vice President Harris in her decision to choose Governor Walz. as her running mate because, drum roll please, because Waltz allows convicted felons to vote. Okay, Michelle, she said her baby daddy's a druggie, period. Okay. I thought you were going somewhere else with that. But you got to see the irony in that, right? Yeah, I mean, before they allowed that statement to come out from the Trump campaign, did they think at all about that statement? Did they consider that the man is a 34, not one, not two, not three, not five, not 25, not 30, 34 times convicted felon, and he's got like 50 some charges pending against him. He's an adjudicated sexual assaulter. He's an adjudicated um, business fraud king. Yes. Wait, how in the world? Again, after the debate with Biden, I said some of his staff members should be fired or disciplined in some way. But whoever put this Trump statement out, whoever okayed it, needs to be fired. Or if you are a supporter of the other side, oh no, keep that person. They doing the nasty work for the Democrats. Mike B says that whole campaign is flailing into irrelevance at this point. And Power 96 says JD Vance is not some Billy Bad Marine. He sat in a desk in Iraq. Oh gosh. And by the way, that just got me, by the way. First of all, that got me when they put that statement. They literally put that statement out that uh they criticized Vice President Harris for choosing Waltz because he did a law that allowed convicted felons to vote. David says, I've been a lawyer for 30 years and never met anyone with 34 felony convictions. He got- oh my gosh, he got more convictions than the amount of drugs Rick James did. Good grief. Um, and by the way, you remember how Trump claimed that he doesn't know anything about Project 2025 or even know the guy who authored the extremely racist manifesto that is Project 2025? Well, there you have it. New photos have shown that Donald and Kevin Roberts, yes, Kevin Roberts, the author of Project 2025, smiling and palling around on Trump's plane. I mean, I don't know about y'all, but David said he's never met as anybody who has 34 convictions. I've never met anybody, never known anybody to take a stranger on a ride on their private jet. And Power 96 is right. Anyone who has served their time in prison, they deserve their rights, and including the right to vote. Um, yeah, you've paid your debt. If you had a sentence of whether it's months, a couple of years, 30 years, you have that was your punishment. That was it. And it's over. It should be over. It's just like, they've done away with the presumption of innocence as well on the front side of conviction. But Trump is a walking uh, a contradiction. And now, on a serious note, it really begins because a Virginia MAGA lover has been charged with posting repeated death threats against the vice president on social media and in the days since she's become the presumptive Democratic presidential nominee, a guy named Frank Lucio Carrillo, who lives in Winchester, Virginia, was arrested, and authorities said he could spend 5 years in prison after the FBI discovered about 20 threats against Vice President Harris from accounts linked to Carrillo on this social media site called Getter, Gettr. I think I've seen that name before. I don't know the site. The threats include, and get this to show you how incredibly disgusting these MAGA folks are. This guy threatened to he says he promises to kill Kamala Harris and her family and to quote pluck her eyes out with pliers and burn her alive. All that hate, all of that hate because she's an opponent to your savior, to your Lord and Savior, the orange guy. It's incredible how disgustingly bad American politics is and has become. I mean, this is like I was talking about these uninformed, ill-informed, uneducated individuals that I grew up around that post silly stuff. I hate her, never her. Where is that coming from? How did how is that how is that even possible? This guy Carrillo, because you love Trump so much, your hate just brings out you want to do some vile, horrific stuff to this woman. And it also shows once again to a woman how much of a coward this guy is, hiding behind his keyboards like a mad scientist. Just such dastardly, cowardly stuff. They say nasty work. This oh ghastly work. And I think 5 years is just not enough time. Right. Power 96 says 1 year in prison for each threat should be his punishment. Mike V also mentions that Vermont allows incarcerated persons to vote within the prison itself. Then again, he says it's a 98% white state. I got to tell you though, on the so we went to, and I told this story before, so I'll keep it real short. We went to Malawi, Africa, back in 2019, and covering this election, and they had lines in the prison that came outside the prison. They had their prison suits on all the way outside of the prison, their jumpsuits and stuff, down block for a mile, waiting to vote, and it was orderly. And there wasn't like all of these corrections officers or guards, uh, holding weapons on these people or anything like that, and they wasn't chained or anything. And they orderly, and they waited, and it was hot, and they waited until it was their time, their turn, and they voted, and they went back to their cells. Um, whatever made them so orderly, who knows? But these are human beings. For the most part, I know you can't do it with everybody, especially people locked up. But for the most part, you treat humans as humans. I think you get that same result that you got in Malawi in the prisons there. But here in the States, of course, uh, lock them up. They're animals. You treat them like animals. They become very combative. They start fighting. They start doing, animalistic things. Yes, Mike V says, unlike Georgia with SB 202 in effect. And David says, we're the most free with the least participation in civic life. Hmm. Yep. So prosecutors have charged 4 Milwaukee hotel employees with being a party to felony murder in connection with Devontae Mitchell's death. According to the criminal complaint, the 4 employees dragged Mitchell out of the Hyatt Hotel on June 30th after Mitchell entered a woman's bathroom and held him on his stomach for 8 or 9 minutes. 4 people are seen on cell phone video footage holding Mitchell down on the hotel's driveway. They are heard in the video telling Mitchell to stay down and stop fighting. One of the employees told investigators that Mitchell was having trouble breathing and repeatedly pleaded for help. That's according to the complaint. One witness, a guy named Sean Moore, went on CBS News and said he heard screaming from the hotel while walking to a nearby Walgreens to pick up some things for his son. The county medical examiner ultimately determined that Mitchell died of restraint, asphyxia, and toxic effects of cocaine and methamphetamine. Um, they say he may have lived if the employees allowed him to turn onto his side. An autopsy also showed that Mitchell suffered from morbid obesity, according to the complaint. Um, and it's interesting how they throw all of that in. I guess the medical examiner must determine that, but um, morbid obesity, somebody can be obese if they're just like a small percentage point over their, what is it, BWI weight, or what do you call it, BFI, whatever that's called, BMI. And if you're a couple points over or a few points more over, then you're considered morbidly obese. Doesn't mean this guy was, hate to use the term, but it doesn't mean that he was like this fat guy. But this is how they will portray it in court to defend themselves. If he was in shape, he would have, no, if you would have not uh, held this guy down the way you did, he would be alive. I mean, there was a way of restraining this guy without that, and that's just the bottom line. Um, Ben Crump is part of the team of lawyers that is representing Mitchell's family. Um, and he said that part of the video does show security guards with their knees on Mitchell's back and neck. 96 says at 6'1", 210 pounds, he's considered obese. He's a guy that works out and everything else. But the Mitchell family is seeking justice for Devontae. Um, and they have the guy who is everywhere when it comes to these issues, Ben Crump, on the case. So we'll see what happens soon on that case. I'm guessing that the Hyatt will make in the city a some sort of settlement offer to the family, as they always do, as if that's going to bring bring him back. A federal judge dismissed most of the claims in a lawsuit filed by a black high school student who alleged that school officials committed racial and gender discrimination when they punished him for refusing to change his hairstyle. The ruling was still another victory in the case for the Barbers Hill School District, that's near Houston, Texas, which has said its policy restricting hair length for male students instills discipline while teaching grooming and respect for authority. But in his order, U.S. District Judge Jeffrey Brown questioned whether the school district's rule causes more harm than good. He said, not everything that is undesirable, annoying, or even harmful amounts to a violation of the law, much less a constitutional problem. So the question begs, then why did the judge rule against Darryl George? The 18-year-old was kept out of his regular high school classes for most of the last school year, and when he was a junior, because the district said his hair violated the dress code. Yeah, so he spent the year either in school suspension at Barbers Hill High School or at an off-site disciplinary program. Um, Remember the Crown Act. George, of course, and his mother filed a federal civil rights lawsuit against the district superintendent, his principal, and assistant principal, as well as Texas Governor Greg Abbott and Attorney General Ken Paxton. The suit says that the punishment violates the Crown Act, which is it's a state law that prohibits race-based hair discrimination. And yet this judge goes against them. And so they don't want to educate students of color. Now they want to tell them how they should look, how they should dress, how they should comb their hairs. It's folks, it's Project 2025. And speaking of, if we turn our attention to Georgia, they have now, speaking of Project 2025 and speaking of elections in Georgia and stuff like that, they have given local officials significant new powers over the certification of election results. Um, this is the state where Trump is facing prosecution. Fonnie Willis is waiting, chomping at the bit for this guy to um, go on trial. I mean, he pressured the state's Secretary of State to find votes and steal the election in 2020. And so now, in a 3-2 vote, the Republican controlled state election board voted to define the certification of election votes as, quote, a test after reasonable inquiry that the tabulation and canvassing of the election are complete and accurate, and that the election results are a true and accurate accounting of all votes cast in that election. But that rule does not define reasonable inquiry, which means that different counties will likely interpret the rule differently. The rule is expected to allow county election boards to request information and potentially delay or block certification of results if they see fit. And the resulting delays could block the timely reporting of election results to state and federal authorities. It used to be that local certification of election results was a routine thing. But after 2020, when Trump and his goons uh, sought to block the process, arguing that officials have discretion to delay or block certification and hoping to use state and county officials to overturn the election results. And since then, a handful of counties around the country have attempted or toyed with the idea of not certifying elections, though those efforts have all failed, typically after state courts intervened. And remember, at a recent rally, Trump cheered on the 3 members of the Georgia Election Board who voted to approve the rule. He even bragged. He says, I don't know if you heard, but the Georgia State Election Board is in a very positive way. They're on fire. They're doing a great job. 3 members, Janice Johnston, Rick Jaffaries, and Janelle King, 3 people. They're all pit bulls fighting for honesty, transparency, and victory. Now, if they were doing that, if they were fighting for honesty, they'd be fighting against the guy who is a walking lie. So right now, it's not clear what will happen if the counties refuse to certify the results by the statutory deadline. This year, counties are required to certify elections by 5 p.m. on November 12th, which is a week after the November 5th election. The state itself is required to certify by November 22nd. So it's going to they're setting things up. This is why they tried to make a mockery out of the stay woke movement. uh yeah. So Georgia is going all out to make sure, or to try to ensure, that uh Donald is declared the winner in that state. I mean, this guy, if he loses by, a couple thousand votes, or if he loses by 50,000, 100,000 votes, they're going to do something nefarious down there. And Mike V says, did he forget Fonnie Willis has a case against him for election interference? 11,780 votes he was looking for. Now, so question, as we move on to this, it's a really I really want to hear from you on this Serena Williams situation. So here's the story, if you haven't heard. This hotel in Paris, they responded to Serena Williams after she accused it of refusing service to her and her children despite one of his restaurants being empty. I remember she posted on social media, quote, she says, "Yikes, at Peninsula Paris, I've been denied access to the rooftop to eat in an empty restaurant of nicer places, but never with my kids," she wrote on, with frowning emoji, she wrote on Monday. She says, always a first. Um, that post led to people calling the restaurant prejudice, and with fans saying, shame on you. But on that same day, the Peninsula dished out a reason for its stand. And they wrote, quote, "Dear Mrs. Williams, please accept our deepest apology for the disappointment you encountered tonight. Unfortunately, our rooftop bar was indeed fully booked, and the only unoccupied tables you saw belonged to our gourmet restaurant, um, which was fully reserved. We have always been honored to welcome you and will always be to welcome you again." And so the reason seemed perfectly legitimate, but some people said, it's Serena Williams. You make a table for her. I say, no, you don't. Particularly a successful restaurant like this. No, you don't. No, you don't. Because how about this for those who say they should make a they make, well, how about this? First and foremost, they have to follow fire codes. You can't have but so many people in a restaurant. They are completely sold out. Number one. Number two, how about if it was your reservation? They say, listen, you're gonna have to we're gonna have to cancel your reservation because we got Serena Williams coming in. How would you feel? How would you feel? So I want to know from you guys, do we always have to make space for celebrities? Do we always have to because they're celebrities, we always have to go out of our way? See, my argument, and I said this a lot when back in the 90s when Michael Jordan was playing basketball. He always got the benefit of the calls. The refs call stuff on him that on other players, they never would call on him because he's this big, he's a superstar. He's the best. Well, I always thought you hold the best to a higher accountability. So if Kenny Smith traveled, right? He took 3 steps, he traveled, but you allow Michael to take 4 steps. So if Kenny Smith is called on 3, Michael should definitely be called on 2 steps. That's my logic. That is my logic. But this idea, celebrities come and you gotta make space. No, you thank that celebrity. You appreciate the fact that you like to eat at my establishment. I just can't accommodate you right now. It's as simple as that. It should be as simple as that. But these fans, and that see the word fans is short for fanatics. And I also some of this blame has to go directly to Serena Williams. Why tweet that? Why put that out there? Because you obviously didn't have all the facts. And so because you're Serena Williams, you feel like, okay, listen, whatever the situation, I don't care if somebody has to, somebody might have had celebrating a wedding, somebody might be having an anniversary dinner. I don't care. I inconvenience them because I am Serena. I'm not saying she said this, but I'm saying her tweet, her post. Why post that? Obviously, her goal of posting that was, I'm Serena Williams. How dare you? And to shame the restaurant. And on top of that, the restaurant's response, she has not yet to this minute that I found responded to say, hey, I was wrong. Or I understand. You folks, you got to stop worshiping people. You got to stop it. And this restaurant drew a line. And kudos to them. And there are some really nice restaurants in Paris. You can go somewhere else. And how about this? Most people, you got to, and I learned this when I was there, and we did this every day. We had to call ahead of time. How about picking the phone up or going online, and make a reservation? How about that? Grid says somebody sounds like they are mad because they ain't got the fob key to Neverland no more. That's not it. So, Power 96 says, I am out of this one. I eat at home. Most restaurants and their food is nasty. I am arguing with the GOP latest bedwench, he says, that Montgomery person from Alabama. So Michelle says, you are making, what Michelle says, you are making excellent points. However, the restaurant could have made an exception for Serena Williams. I disagree with that, Michelle. Disagree. They don't need her business. Now, restaurants that might need, they want the cachet. Oh, such and such ate here. Who I could care less. As a consumer, I can care less. As long as they got it's an A-rated 5-star restaurant and they're clean, as Power 96 said, I can care less who ate there. Folks should say Stacey Brown ate here. As far as I'm concerned. David says, I believe the restaurant. And Dr. Nicole says, to me, it depends on the circumstances. But in general, they should be treated the same as everyone else. In Serena's case, I think we still don't have all the facts. It's her word versus theirs as to what really happened. And Mike B says, Serena and white privilege. And Michelle says, I definitely don't worship any so-called celebrities, though. Yeah, I know Michelle definitely doesn't. I could tell that for sure. Grizz trolling me back there, y'all. Um, ever since Totally Randy anointed her as the GOAT, she's been trolling me. So she's been trolling me before that, though. But I just think that this idea that the fact that she put it out there like that is just crazy. She says, if I was with Sabrina that day, I would be yelling, this is Serena Williams. No, I don't do that. And there's a lot. Stevie Wonder can attest to that. The Jacksons can attest to that. Smokey can attest to that. I don't do that. I do not do that. Uh-uh. No, no, no. No. Let's go to Burger King and undercover or something. Because you're gonna do something. Because my thing is, as a celebrity, they're gonna eventually do something scandalous that you're gonna be embarrassed about being with them. you're gonna be embarrassed that you even was around them. And so let's keep it low profile. Let's keep it low. Let's keep it on the low low. But that's she just threw that out there. And how about if you're gonna put it out there that they didn't allow you in the restaurant? How about at least leaving room for the possibility that there was a good solid reason why they couldn't allow you there? And I'm pretty sure they told her that's why they wasn't. Chris says if they take me to Burger King, you would be all on LIB, let me know, talking about them. So that's a true story. And no, I was the one who paid for the Burger King. Go back and read uh, a series of stories I did like 6 years ago in the New York Post. I'm not going to talk about them, but that particular incident is mentioned in the story. Homeboy, that's as far as I'm gonna say. I'm not gonna say the celebrity's name. Me, him, and his wife. They were hungry, and they was let's go here. I was like, okay. And they were ordering like an apple pie. They said they were hungry, and they was ordering an apple pie. And I'm like, I thought you were hungry. Don't you want? No, 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 no. Just you go ahead. I was like, I got you. Okay, cool. Give me and started ordering everything on the menu except thank you, come again. I was like, oh shoot. Wait a minute. Hold up. Shoot. Payday is tomorrow, not today. Shucks. I couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe it. True story. Good, true story. Um, but come on, Serena. You do do better. Do better, Serena. Listen, so is I don't know, folks, when they go. See, I don't know too many folks who go to campaign rallies. In fact, I don't know anybody who goes to campaign rallies. Outside of reporters, of course. And so I want to know, is campaign music that important? And apparently it is to these candidates. Um, and with that in mind, Beyonce is the latest to give. Well, she not the latest, but she gave Vice President Kamala Harris her stamp of approval to use her song Freedom for her campaign. But seems like old man Trump, the 78-year-old Republican candidate, isn't having the same type of success. And it seems that more and more artists said, hey, dude, cease and desist. Even dead artists. The family of the late um, Isaac Hayes had to stop Trump from using his music. Um, Sam and Dave, hold on, I'm coming. Isaac Hayes III said that Trump represents the worst in honesty, integrity, and class. And we want no association with his campaign of hate and racism. And this stretches back to the 2016 Republican National Convention, where the House band played a rendition of that hit song from Earth, Wind, and Fire, September. And Earth, Wind, and Fire said, hey, wait a minute, we're not having that. The group immediately said the unauthorized use of our song will not be tolerated. Even Mick and the Rolling Stones told Trump, not once, but a couple of times, dude, we don't want our music associated with you at all. Do not use our music. And then Trump went on to use Rolling Stone song anyway. You can't always get what you want, as he walked out. And so the Rolling Stones has counted, and they filed a lawsuit against Trump. In a statement, they said that they are taking further steps to exclude Donald Trump from using our songs at any of his current or future political campaigning. Even for Pharrell Pharrell was not happy when Trump played his song "Happy" during a rally. Pharrell fired off a letter saying, and it made it to Trump's doorstep too. Pharaoh has not and will not. King Pharaoh. Pharrell has not and will not grant you permission to publicly perform or otherwise broadcast or disseminate any of his music. Linkin Park. Remember Linkin Park? They sent Trump a cease and desist letter too. They was using their song "In the End" and forced Trump to delete that from his social media sites, his websites, etc. Um, then Queen, uh, Freddie Mercury's group said Donald Trump is a greater threat to the United States than any terrorism. They don't want their music to be played as part of presidential campaigns. He tried to use "We Are the Champions," and Brian May, one of the members of Queen, said that they they're going to take some legal action. I'm laughing because uh, Dr. Nicole says it sounds like he better stick with the honky tonk at his honky tonk. Oh man, oh man. Um, George Harrison from the Beatles says, quote, "The unauthorized use of 'Here Comes the Sun' is offensive and against the wishes of the George Harrison estate." Guns N' Roses got into the act. Axl Rose, of all people, um, has pretty much come out and said he hates Donald Trump. And Trump had given a speech over the Guns N' Roses song "Live and Let Die," and Axl said enough was enough. Sent a letter threatening a lawsuit, and then they took it. They took it further, slamming him about the COVID. See, they not only sent the letter of cease and desist. Yes, Eminem also has Mike V sent a cease and desist to Trump, but Guns N' Roses took it even further. They created merchandise. Uh, Now Trump wanted to use "Live and Let Die." Um, they dropped merchandise blasting Trump and the way he handled the COVID-19 pandemic. The shirts read, "Live and Let Die with COVID 45." Boy, that was something else. And of course, my man Prince, his estate, um, immediately sent a cease and desist to Trump when Trump had the audacity during a rally in Minneapolis. He had the audacity to use "Purple Rain." And Trump actually responded to the Prince estate and said that he wouldn't use Prince's music again. But then, of course, the walking contradiction then tried to do it again. And so they sued him. And then Trump had always said Elton John was one of his all-time favorites. um, and he said, "It's nothing personal. I don't want you using my music. I don't want you using my music." And of course, my girl Rihanna said, "Hey, we're done here. We're done here." And she says she doesn't, quote, "want to create a false impression that she is affiliated with, connected to, or otherwise associated with the 34 times convicted felon." Um, so I guess Dr. Nicole is right. He's gonna have to use the honky tonk, or as Power 96 says, he'll use 50 Cent music. 50 is another. This is Power 96 says 50 is another sellout, and nobody is talking about that. We've talked about that, right? I mean, that awful, awful, awful display that 50 Cent put on on Capitol Hill, embarrassing Ben Crump the way he did, and then at his concert, basically paying tribute to Trump after somebody got shot at Trump's rally in Butler, PA. But it's no surprise because and JD Vance, oh gosh, JD Vance. JD Vance is he's got to at this point be considered a complete embarrassment. Um, let's look at this clip.
In Iraq, what was so weird about it, like the two things that really stuck out is because sometimes you're just like hanging out and mortar or rocket fire starts raining down and you've got a shelter in place and you're like, what the hell are we actually doing here? Shouldn't we go out and like get the guys who are shooting rockets at us rather than just sort of, go hide in a bunker every time they fire? That was one.
Eyeshadow say, what? This is the guy who's running on his military service. Meanwhile, the right's trying to question the military service of Tim Walz, a 24-year veteran. Hey, JD dumbass, we do go after the guys who shoot rockets and mortars at us. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? So if you're at a place where there's artillery units, then as soon as the rockets or mortars get fired, we calculate what's called a POO, which is a point of origin, and then we rain steel onto that POO. If you don't have artillery, we have other assets, I won't go into detail here, that give us a visual of the areas around us. And then we still shelter in place because you can't just run out during rocket fire. You have to wait till it's over. And then we track down the people who did it. And then we would arrest and interrogate them. That's why the people that shot the rockets and mortars ran like a motherfucker within seconds of doing it. Everybody knew that we were going to come after you for shooting at us. So what the fuck are you talking about? But then you go on to say that you were pulling security at a polling station in 2005 during parliamentary elections, and the Iraqis didn't give a shit about democracy. They were pissed off because they weren't safe. And then you said this.
They just wanted to live in a safe place. Like they were pissed at America, but they weren't pissed at America because we were, more socially progressive than they were. We gave rights to gay people. Like that's not why they were pissed at America.
No shit.
They were pissed at America because we were the strongest country in the world and we couldn't keep car bombs from blowing up in their markets. And they were just pissed off about it.
I genuinely fucking hate this guy. So you're right. I mean, Iraqis were pissed about the lack.
Power 96 says, what did I tell you? JD Vance was a desk jockey in a combat zone. It's amazing how, and we'll end on this note. It's amazing how within the last month, how the race has been turned on its head. Mike V, that's what I'm saying, Mike V. He says the Republican ticket is so done at this point. It is really amazing. Many will argue that this should have been the ticket a year ago. At the very least, President Biden should have not even sought a second term. But at the same time, the vice president takes over, and the energy and the way that we are now seeing, we're seeing more Jasmine Crockett's and AOC's, their types from the Democratic side than we've ever seen before. Because they've long had this reputation, Democrats have, of just being so passive, non-aggressive, not knowing how to do messaging, not knowing how to strike back, even when the other side places a silver platter there for them to hit out the park or whatever. But now they are nonstop. I mean, we saw Tim Walz, the governor, make a crack about JD Vance and the couch. They wouldn't do that before. We have seen Vice President Harris stand her ground on this whole debate situation and pulling the type of power move that Democrats are not used to pulling. And that is, I will be at the debate, the ABC debate, and if he doesn't show up, it will be a town hall. It's a win-win because the felon does not want to debate the prosecutor. Mike V says it's a progressive takeover and conservatives are big mad. That's it. That's it. So, folks, it's Thursday. It feels like it's Friday. Well, maybe that's just wishful thinking, right? So subscribe because it's not Friday. Subscribe to our YouTube page, LIBK-News. And then subscribe again on Friday if you haven't. Get somebody who hasn't subscribed to subscribe. And then we will see you tomorrow morning with more news and information. Some you can use and others you can just play with. And we'll see you tomorrow.